Hey guys, welcome to the very first guest of this show called Brewed Scenes. To those that don't know, I actually had this show done as my capstone project, but we have to rebrand because why not? It's my show and I want to rebrand. So specifically for this is going to be an audio-based only podcast, and it's basically nerding out over film, why we love it, why we want to work in it. And for my very first guest, I have Sarah. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, um, what you are aspiring to be, and yeah.
Okay, hello, my name is Sarah. I've been working in film for the past 3, 4 years. I have most of my experience comes from acting and also from assistant directing and script supervising. But I really aspire to work in book to film adaptations. So I'm working towards careers in both publishing and the production industry.
Super, super cool. So, one thing I love to do is to promote a local coffee shop where the brewed aspect of the title comes into play. So, is there a local coffee shop that you like going to? And if not local, we love a good franchise as well. One or the other is perfectly fine that you would like to promote. And what is currently with the fall slash winter slash muggy Florida weather?
Mm.
What is your coffee order or cafe order in general?
Well, a place that really gets me in the mood is the White Wolf Cafe in downtown Orlando. Yeah, it's really nice there. It's both a
Oh,
cafe and bar. So my personal pick of poison is an espresso martini. So I guess it's yeah, it's
okay.
it's kind of a fusion of both the cafe and bar aspect, and I love a good espresso martini, and the ones from White Wolf are probably my favorite. So.
See, this is why I love asking people because I have so many saved on my Apple Guides and don't have that one. So I
It's
will be.
also beautiful in there. They're usually like showing, they have TVs in there. It's a very, very nice environment, and so I
Oh,
love it.
pretty cool. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna be saving that. For me, with it once again, being like I'm trying to get into the winter vibes. Is the Barney's White Christmas coffee? That's
Oh yeah.
dangerous. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
scary. There's a reason why I'm only choosing to let myself have it like genuinely once a season because it's just it's delicious. So we could go ahead and get started into the meat of the sandwich. So overall, what really made you want to produce working in the entertainment industry? Was there like that one initial film or book or even maybe commercial that you're like, oh my God, that will be me. That will be me very soon.
So I guess it wasn't necessarily a piece of media, but I think it was just kind of my journey within the creative industry. I was always a very creative person, but in high school, I went to a performing arts school, and that was where I was studying drama and acting, and I was the girl that was like, I'm gonna be on Broadway. Like
Mm.
that was the number one dream. What I didn't realize was that being on Broadway is extremely hard. And if you're not trained from like the age of like 3,
Right, right,
good
right.
luck. Good
Fresh out
luck.
the womb.
So
Fresh out the
yeah,
womb, and you already are tap dancing.
yeah. And so just kind of from that journey, I kind of realized that I felt like my acting style was kind of more suited for film. I love the subtleties. And I actually don't want to get into this now, but I do want to give a quick thing. Like I think that a lot of times when we see like acting or like, oh, the best acting moments, they're like these big, grand,
Mm.
kind of performances, like these crying and sobbing and anger moments. But I think that some of the best acting moments come in the small subtleties that come into play. And
Mm.
I think I wanted to play around with that a little bit more. And I think that film was a way for me to get in touch with that.
Mm. Mm.
But to be able to understand film, I had never worked with film in the industry before at all.
Mm.
And so when I was applying for programs, I decided to apply for film programs so that I would be able to gain more of an understanding of what was going on in front of the camera by being
Mm.
behind the camera,
Yeah.
as well as just being able to make a lot of connections working with other film students,
Mm.
and also just explore pieces of film that I wanted to explore myself and aspects of film that I wanted to explore.
Yeah, you make a really good point by you mentioning these extreme moments. There a lot of times many people for it to even reach like the monoculture of people like wow that was such a good performance. A lot of times it's like I always refer back to Endgame and that epic uh the one of the last scenes where you see all the superheroes come together for all different aspects. But if you really analyze that scene, you see it, they're not having these crazy like comic booky faces. It's all very subtle. Like they're you could tell like they are prepared to whatever is next, but with it being so many people in one room is what really makes it extreme. So I think that's really important, and I think for a lot of times people don't appreciate the minor details enough. We acknowledge them for sure. We're like, oh yeah, that was really good. But for someone like you, I think it's really important to bring those moments to life and really shine light on them. But with that being said, do you have a favorite film at the moment? This is my segment called like fangirl time. Like, please fan out. Like, I convince me basically. Like, what is this favorite film of yours?
Okay. So I love films that feel like books. So I'm the kind of
Mm,
person that like absolutely loves just the quiet films that you can tell are incredibly well written but are just very profound.
mm,
So I always love raving about past lives, which I feel like might be kind of a bigger one, but it genuinely is in the subtleties of the writing
yeah.
that kind of capture you. And it's in the very beautiful moments between people. And I think it's because of the connection that Celine Song, the director, has with the actual writing itself that kind of gives it that emotional feel. It's like this came from someone's personal experience. It for anybody who hasn't seen the film, it is about this young woman who moved to Korea from, well, let me rephrase. It's about a woman who came from Korea at a very young age who started working in the United States and grew up in the United States, leaving her childhood best friend behind. When she gets older, her childhood friend comes to visit, and it's kind of this very interesting dynamic between her husband, and this childhood best friend who could have been a
Mm,
lover of
mm.
hers. And it stems from Celine Song's own experience with that, where she's sitting in this bar between her husband and her childhood best friend, feeling like she was, translating between two different parts of herself, So
Oh,
it's about
wow.
American identity, it's about, cultural identity, being an
Mhm.
immigrant stories. And I think in this day and age, it's really important to highlight immigrant stories.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. That's probably is my favorite film at the current moment. So
Yeah, awesome. And I guess to randomly like tag into Letterbox because I love Letterbox so much. Do you use Letterbox? Yes or no?
I do. I do.
Perfect.
It's not, I wish I used it as religiously as others, but I do.
Mm. Okay, that's perfect. For me, I don't even write reviews. I repost reviews because sometimes the reviews are they express my thoughts better than what I would have written.
Yes.
So with that being said, you want to quickly mention your current top four?
Okay. Well, Past Lives is in my top four.
Okay,
So it's going to be
fair.
Past Lives. It's also going to be About Time. That's another film that that is like it's the one where he actually no. I'm not going to say anything about it. I think everyone should go watch About Time. It's one of the films that genuinely like I think change. You know when you watch a film and you feel like, wow, that changed my life. Like
Right,
it
right, right.
changed my perspective on the world and life. That's About Time for me.
Okay, okay.
So Past Lives, About Time. You can put TV shows in there.
Now
So
you can put TV shows?
you can put TV shows, or at least I think you can put limited series on there. So
Oh,
I
yes. Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
Normal People on there because, and again,
I'm
yes.
seeing a common trend here. I'm
I
seeing a
said
common.
I liked, movies that feel like books.
Right, right,
So
right.
I love Normal People and then Twilight because
Well, hey,
Twilight.
Twilight. What are your thoughts of the? I'm seeing rumors right now because I low-key don't want to believe that is true, but the rumors are saying that Netflix is picking it up to redo it as an animated series. Right,
I mean,
right,
okay.
right,
I mean,
right.
all right.
Honestly, I'm for it if they could still translate the blue tint in the animation style.
That's fair.
I
That's
think
fair.
that's the one exception that I have. I'm like, at least do that. The rest, sure, have
But the
fun.
thing is, are they going to do it like in the films where it's only the first one that has the blue tint?
Well, that would
Or if
connect.
anything, if they do that, I think they should only do the first one and
Right,
then
right,
leave the
right.
rest of the series alone.
I agree. I agree. Yes. Yeah. No, no, no. We'll see. For now, it's a rumor, and I hope it stays a rumor.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, with franchises being such a big thing, if you could place yourself in any franchise, what would it be and why?
The thing is that I'm a super fan of several franchises. So
Mm-mm.
I'm like, I would you are like as a person or as an actor?
As a person, as
Okay.
you, Sarah, in 2025, like, where would you go?
I feel like it's such a basic answer, but I would say like put me in Hogwarts, babe. I'm still waiting for my
I'm,
Hogwarts letter.
I'm
22 years of
saying,
age and I'm still waiting for that letter to come. I'm like, I don't understand. I can't be a muggle. That doesn't make any sense to me.
no, I
Um,
agree. I
yeah,
agree.
so definitely like I just especially now that we're in the at least right now we're in the Christmas time and
Yes,
just
yeah.
that very cozy feel like I feel very connected to it. But me as an actor,
Mm.
if you were to put like if you're like what franchise was you would you as an actor
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
want
mm-hmm.
to be in,
Mm-hmm.
100% put me in the MCU. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there's over as of like I think it was like 2018. I watched this like short documentary. They had at the moment over 8,000 comics. I think I could see you there. There's definitely a character there
Coach,
for
put me in.
you.
Coach, put me in. I have brown eyes and brown hair. You'll find something.
No,
You'll find
girl, there's
something.
makeup and wigs. There's makeup and wigs. Don't even get me
I
started.
will dye
Makeup
my
and
hair.
wig.
I
But
will dye my hair. I will cut my hair.
there we go.
So
Anything for the part. Anything for
anything
the
for the
part.
gag.
Yes, 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 yes. So with us being new, when I say new, I mean like I would say maybe less than 5 years of experience in the film industry as a whole. What is something new that you learned recently in your most recent project? It could be either outside of acting or acting specifically.
I guess it's not specific to acting. It's more specific to um working in like the publishing industry centered towards creating like franchises and
Mm,
creating, because so I have some experience in publishing with working with authors and working with production as well to be able to work with rights contracts so that when a book is negotiated to be sold for rights, not just film rights, but also audio rights, merchandise rights, anything like that. And something in contracts that I found was really interesting was just when you're working in, it kind of just depends on which side you're on, because if you're working towards like a more of like of the production area, it's interesting because you are advocating for the author, but also you really, really like it is kind of profit
okay,
forward in a
valid.
way, but also I think I connect more with working from like the literary side and like the agent side of things, because you're in a position where you have to very heavily advocate for that author. And so
Mm,
something that like I kind of experienced recently, I did an internship with a literary agency where I was working with books and I like dipped my toe and was working a little bit with some subsidiary rights categories. And I really loved the idea of, yes, you're keeping in mind the best things for profit for, the production company, because that's just business,
mm,
the production and also the agency and just everybody involved. But your job is specifically advocating for that author.
mm,
And I think that's the thing that I kind of empathize towards most. Because
mm,
I think sometimes authors' rights and authors' ideals can kind of get lost in the sauce. Because when you have this full production going on and when you have this full subsidiary rights deal going on, it's like there's the author and then there's the the screenwriter's interpretations of the
mm,
work, and then there's the director's vision, and then each individual
mm.
actor has their own say as well. So I think connecting all of that back to the author's vision and to the actual meat of a piece, and prioritizing that is something that's incredibly important and can be done. It can be done. It just has to be prioritized. So that was a very long-winded answer, but I think that there are many, many ways that you can connect an author's vision back to in any interpreted work
Mm,
of um, their pieces.
yeah.
So
But by any chance, are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I dabble. I haven't seen the
Interesting.
full show,
Right,
but I
right, right.
dabble.
Interesting, because with you mentioning like always going back to the author, the screenwriters or the showrunners, they say that they were the last few seasons they were just not received well with fans because from
Hmm.
the beginning of the show to the end it's you could tell that it was just not handled with care properly in comparison to when they started. So they did say that they frequently talked to the author of Game of Thrones and they let him know like, hey, is this what you would like the characters to go and stuff, but it it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all, and I think a lot of times with so many cooks in the kitchen without constantly going back to the author, even then I feel like the author did have some idea like, oh, I do know where I want these characters to end. We kind of got a tease of it. It received very poor feedback, so now as an author with the show with the series not being done, he's like, oh shoot, y'all hated that, oh wow.
Yeah,
Didn't know. So I mean, like, there's, I think that's one of the weaknesses of being creative is that you don't know how the audience is going to feel, and maybe in your eyes as an author is the characters may feel justified, maybe not, but I do find it interesting, and I feel like that not only goes back to authors but creators of franchises, like, overall. I
yeah.
mean, I would say, going back to Harry Potter, unfortunately I think with this show that HBO is
Mm.
redoing, what do you think of that then? Because do we want to confine in them anymore? Because I'm okay with switching it up because we do have the books, we do have the movies. What are your thoughts?
My thing is that I don't understand why we need another remake.
Oh, well, yes.
Because
Yeah.
the thing is that it comes from like the two things. I think that it's we obviously know that it's for profit,
Well, yeah.
but my thing is that I had recently reread all of the Harry Potter books earlier this year, and then I actively was rewatching the films as well. And I think when they were coming out with this show, the argument was, oh, because it's a TV show, they have more time to kind of delve into the nuances of the book and actually include more scenes. The films do a pretty darn good job of adapting everything that was happening in the books. Like I was rewatching it and rereading, and I was like, this is pretty accurate. It's
Mm,
pretty similar. And I think something that I had kind of noticed was that, with any book to film adaptation, you have a lot of die-hard fans and this community that is so incredibly in love with the original text that when you have certain translations of that text and it's adapted, and there are certain scenes that are lost and there are certain actors that are casted that aren't necessarily book accurate,
mm,
um, that can annoy a lot of fans or make a lot of fans very hesitant when I think what needs to be remembered is that it's an adaptation.
mm,
It's not a 100% accurate representation of the book. It's
mm,
not just, a re-release. It is an adaptation taken from, and I know I just talked about how it's important to withhold the author's voice, and
mm,
that can still be done while also introducing a new perspective
mm,
and a new interpretation of it
mm,
through a director's vision.
mm.
That's why I think go ahead and do me a favor and think about what you think is the best Harry Potter adaptation of the movies. Think about it. Hey, why is it the third one?
Well, why
Why is it
is
the
it?
third one?
I would say,
Why is it
okay.
the third one? The reason why is
Mm.
because the director did such a good job at staying true to the original media, but also highlighting the original themes. All of the clocks that we see. There's so many like nuances that are introduced in the film, but it's also thematically a darker film
You
than all
see,
of the other ones.
oh, there's no more happiness Christmas time no more. What's going on?
It's because of the director's
Mm,
vision,
mm,
and because of the interpretation that was added to it, and that's why it feels more gothic than
mm-hmm.
the the past two films that were very, lighthearted, you know, films, but now we're getting into the meat of the actual plot line of the
Mm,
entire series. Now it's getting darker. Now we're introducing and highlighting more of those themes, and that's why it's seen as the best film
mm,
because yes, it stays true to the original media, but it makes people think a little bit differently about it and about some of our characters and about some of our themes that we've been introduced to.
mm.
So,
Okay, I am hesitant as I myself I've read the books and watched the movies, but I think at the end of the day it is for profit. We there's not much to argue there, but I do hope they do play around. I do hope they do explore certain characters, give us a little bit more context on the professors. We don't need a flashback. We don't need to do all that, but see them interact more with one another because this is also my thing. You have more time in the show now because you're saying you need a whole season for these
mhm.
books. We need the
What
character
are you gonna do
development.
with that?
We need don't I don't want when people say filler, it's like there's a difference between filler and world building. And a lot of people are completely mixing them up and merging them as one. And something like Harry Potter, they do have the ability to specifically season one truly establish that Harry knows nothing about this. This is why I believe the Percy Jackson show for season one did
Mhm.
such a good job introducing people that have never read the books, but
Yeah.
also that have read the books, like myself, truly seeing like, wow, this actor is showing us he genuinely doesn't know what the hell is going on. And that's very, very important. And we're learning alongside him. He's asking the questions that we, the audience, are also asking. So I do hope that with them having so much time, they do expand more on the world as a whole. But continuing on, to not steer the conversation too crazy, but has there been a favorite moment on every set that you frequently look back on, or that one specific moment on that one specific project that you're like, man, like I always have that moment on every set that I've worked on. Like I always go to bed mad because I'm like, damn, like I love. I will say it does play a part, like working with people that I love, but it's even on those mundane projects that don't really catch or capture my interest. Like I do wake up, sorry, I go to bed a little sad because I'm like, damn, the set day's over. I'm waiting to and like hoping like the next day, like, oh my god, I want to go back on set. I want to go back on set. And that's like why I always liked working in the entertainment industry, because you don't know what's gonna happen the next day because
Mhm.
shit can hit the fan and you're like, all right guys, let's problem solve. But yeah, was there a moment or in general like that you really look back on or you hope to relive more in the future?
So I'm kind of going to pivot back to acting,
Yeah, yeah.
but I remember, and it almost feels like a bittersweet moment, kind of
Mm,
thinking about it. But for me, I worked with a group of really great creatives, working on a 72-hour film challenge where we had to
fun.
write, film, and edit a short film
Oh my
in
god.
72 hours, 3 days.
Oh my god.
So we had a particular, I think it was the first night. They said, Sarah, go home, sleep, because when you come back, we're going to be filming overnight for the next however many hours. And so I went home, I slept, I came back, and that night was probably some of the most like grueling work that I've ever done. It was pretty much all of the most emotional scenes. It was the scene where we were using the most makeup, the
Mm,
most effects that we were using.
mm,
And so I'm thinking about like that entire team of people that really came together and pushed through so much to be able to complete that.
mm.
And I remember at the very end, I was gonna say at the end of the night, but really it was early morning by the
Right,
time we
right.
finished because it was a night shoot.
Mm,
I went into my car. I had fake blood because it's supposed to be a horror short.
right,
So
right.
I've fake blood all over me. I have the prosthetic glue all over my face. I had been sobbing, so I'm like tear marks. Like I looked rough. I
Mm.
have like pictures of it. Like it was rough. And I remember going back to my apartment. I remember washing myself up and then sitting down on my bed and feeling like I can't wait to go back. I can't wait
Mm,
to go back after
yeah.
spending hours on that set
Mm,
and after it being such a grueling process. I remember, this moment where I feel like I'm supposed to be resting
mm,
and relaxing, but it was just so exhilarating being able to be in a space with creatives and just being able to explore so
mm,
many parts of myself
mm-hmm.
within that, acting journey.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm ready. I'm
Right,
ready.
right.
And I luckily enough, again, 72 hours challenge, so I was right back at it after like 5 or 6 hours. But um, I think that moment, I think about it, and I think that's something that kind of keeps me going.
Mm,
Um, Even in like the most grueling moments on set, I know it's going to be something that I think about, and I'm going to look back on and be like, man, like I want to go back and I want to continue doing it for as long as possible.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, no, it truly is a feeling that with people like us that we're so passionate about just creating. It doesn't have to be art is very subjective. So just creating in general, whatever the case may be, I think that feeling, the way runners get their runner's high, I don't know what that is. I don't run, but it's the same way like on set. Like there is that rush, that high
that
where you're like,
adrenaline.
oh, it's like it feels so cool. You're like, this is like, oh my gosh, like everything just clicks. And it doesn't need to be a smooth set, but just like knowing that everyone's there trying to create something is, oh, it's so super, super cool. I also have one where there, for one of my projects at school, it was a live production, and it's called Fantasy Figures Unmasked. And I remember I was the producer on that, but I was so stressed out because I was so focused on the time. I was like, we have to get this done. We have to get this done. And then at one moment, my all my crew, they were just like, it's okay. The world isn't gonna end. Like it's not that serious. Like it's okay. No, you know what? That's true. It's really not that serious. It's for a grade. It's not that serious. And then it made me take a moment and just like appreciate what we were doing and appreciate the talent that we got that are not actors. They are friends of friends, and they did such a good job. I'm like, this is so fun. Like truly, just doing it for the shits and the gigs. Like it was just truly, and you could tell they were really enjoying their time. And like all my crew, they're like, oh wow, like we don't know when we'll be able to work together again. So let's make the most of it. I guess that's what it truly is. You don't know when you're going to be working with these people again. So you're trying to make the most fun that it could possibly be. But continuing on, do you have a hot take? Just like it could be production wise, it could be like entertainment wise. Like for me, my hot take is maybe we don't always need coffee. Let's expand the market into like, I don't know, matcha, Celsius, the Red Bull. Or my ultimate hot take, not everything needs to be a relationship. Not everything needs to be a relationship. I will
Mm,
die on that hill that as a Star Wars fan, Raylo did not need to happen. It did not need to happen. JJ Abrams was like, how can we fix this? Band-aid a relationship.
yeah. Here's my hot take. We say that we want stronger female characters, but everyone hates Belly Conklin. We say that we want more complex
Yeah.
female characters,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
everyone hates Belly Conklin. We
Right,
say
right,
that we
right.
want more interesting female characters that are better representations of women, but everyone says that they hate Belly Conklin. I think that like there's so many female characters that we love to poke fun at,
Mm.
but that's because we can't handle them. Same thing I think with Carrie Bradshaw. Can I say that? Can I say that? I'm a Carrie Bradshaw supporter. Okay, she's a
Ooh.
messy girl, but I get her. I understand her. And people are gonna hear that and be like, "Oh, so Sarah's like Carrie Bradshaw. She's crazy." But like, no, genuinely, like I think that messy women in media need to be better supported because I
Mm,
think that we are very easy to kind of dismiss them
mm,
as she's messy, she's weird, like she's the one that's causing all of the problems in the series when it's like we need to do a better job at understanding the complexity of these female characters because
mm,
we say that we want to be able to study more female characters and understand where they are coming from.
mm.
And yeah, I'm a Team Belly supporter. I'm a Team Belly supporter. I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
am.
I do, man. With Summer Pretty in the Venn diagram of Love Island, this summer 2025 was ridiculous. Like it was a type of genuine fire that was happening on social media, specifically TikTok, where I'm like, what is going on? We are
Which like
forgetting.
which I'm not saying that I like 100% agree with everything that she does.
Well, of course, yeah,
And the
yeah.
same thing with Carrie, like with all of the messy girls, like, but I think it's also important to remember that like we also support, we love the morally gray man, you know? We love, yes, he's killed
Mm.
people, but also like he's a
Oh.
baby. You know what I mean? The way that we support those kinds of men are the same way that we should be supporting the women that sometimes make terrible decisions.
That
I
is
think that we
such
should kind of also relate to that because
that is
that's
such
the
a good
thing.
example.
That's the thing. So I think that people judge them a little bit too harshly.
Mm.
I wonder why, you know?
Right, right,
And
right,
so,
right.
yeah, that's my hot take. I think that we need to kind of re-examine the way that we've been treating Belly and Conklin as a character this past
Mm-hmm.
summer. And we need to, you know, try to understand who she was and where she was coming from. And I'm only
Mm.
using her as a specific
Yeah,
example,
yeah, of
but there's
course.
so many other like female characters.
Mm.
Dare I say, oh my gosh, what was her name? Cassie from Euphoria?
Wait, Sydney Sweeney?
Oh, well, Sydney Sweeney as a person.
No, no,
But
I'm
I
saying like
mean, like,
that the character that she
yes,
portrayed, Cassie.
yes.
Oh, yeah, she's a
Very
complex
interesting
character.
character. Very interesting
Oh,
character that, again,
yeah.
people just love to use and be like,
I will never be a
you know?
Cassie.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that it's very important that we, instead of dismissing those characters and being like, well, I don't like her, instead, and being like, oh, she causes all of the problems, she causes all of the drama, instead understanding, hey, why? Why is she being the way that she is?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a past kind of rooted in that? Is there, you know, some kind of way that we can? I think that when we look into those characters a little bit more, we're looking into ourselves a little bit more.
And
So,
I do find it interesting that we're with me being a new bookworm, like me discovering how the complex character is used specifically in books because there's so many examples when it comes to TV and movies, but
mhm,
specifically in books, I think what's very interesting is that we do, depending on how it's written, we do get insight on what the character is thinking, why they think the way that they do. So we have a little bit of understanding of like, oh, okay, I see why you did that. Do I agree with it? No, but I can not even empathize, but I could acknowledge why you did the thing that you did. And what's different with media and TV, we cannot hear them think. Maybe with
yeah,
Sex in the City, I don't, maybe there's like some narration happening, but not to the point where we're like, okay, we get it, Carrie. Like I
yeah,
see, I see. Not only that, I think when it comes to complex characters being written, those are probably some of the best representations of the human experience. And a lot of times we don't want that. We want relatability, but not like that.
yes,
That's
yes.
what it
That's
is.
why.
It's
That's why people don't like
interesting.
Belly and they don't like Carrie. It's because they show them the worst parts of themselves. That's my opinion. Or at least for me personally, like when people ask me like, "Oh, what Sex and the City character are you?" I say that I'm Charlotte with Carrie tendencies. Okay? I'm Charlotte with Carrie tendencies because I'm honest. All right? So, I think that we are very often dismissive of certain characters because or particularly female characters as women because of two reasons. Either A, they show us the parts of themselves that we don't want to confront, or B, they show us parts of like personality types that we don't understand, or you know.
Yes, very much so.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of the way. So I'm a Belly Conklin defender
Hell
until the
yeah.
day I die.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I also think too, going back to the summer term pretty, I myself like went on the rabbit hole of like, why would Billy do that? Why the fuck would she do that? What's going on there? And I immediately had to bring myself down to earth. I'm like, oh, she's my age. The character Belly, she's my age. Of course we're gonna make dumb decisions. Like it's so obvious. Why would I want to watch a show where everything falls into place? Everything is perfection. Well, we wouldn't even make it to halfway of season one. The show would end there. 4 episodes, perfect. Like, and I think that's another thing where I'm even realizing for other books that I've read, I'm like, well, why would this character do that? And it's like, oh, they're my age. This makes so much sense. And I think that's another thing too, where a lot of older Gen Z, even young millennials, they watch shows like this Emergent Pretty, and they're like, why is Belly doing this? And really, what's that term called? Like criticizing her, but they're so far removed from being 20, 21, 22 years old that they're forgetting maybe you were just like that and you don't want to associate yourself with someone like Belly.
And I think people's love for Conrad and even some people's love for Jeremiah, I'm not one of those people, but for some people whose love for Conrad maybe kind of got in the way of their understanding of her as a person. I think it
Mm,
100% stems from her age and her naivete going into
mm,
this process. It also comes from the fact that she, like, having a lack of a female role model for her in an age where, she's going through this very big process of she's engaged, her mother take a step back, she doesn't have Susanna, like it's a thing for her.
mhm,
So I think it's just sometimes we have a lack of understanding for certain characters,
mhm,
and sometimes our judgment can be a little bit jaded,
mm.
just from other people, which, like, I sound very like psychological here,
No, I
but
think
genuinely, like,
that's
I
okay.
think that we need to give more female characters, more messy female characters, some grace.
Mm,
And if we say that we want more complex female characters, that we want to, it's not easy to understand them. They're not static. It takes a second to, you know, part through the ways of the character to understand the way that they are.
mm,
Then we need to give grace when those characters are written and given to us,
mm.
and not say she's weird, she's cringy, she's causing problems, she's messy, and yeah.
Is there a character in a book series that hasn't been adapted yet or hasn't even been announced to become an adaptation in any way that I would simply say like you're protected of or you're worried of how people are going to perceive those characters when they're adapted to the big screen?
It hasn't been adapted, and they probably, there has not been any talks of it being adapted yet.
Mm.
Actually, no, I'm
Let's
pivoting. I'm
manifest.
pivoting.
Let's manifest. Let's
I'm
manifest.
pivoting, actually. I'm pivoting. I think a lot of the Emily Henry characters I'm a little nervous for when it comes to being interpreted because, especially with People We Met on Vacation coming out,
Yep.
here's the thing.
Speak it. Speak it.
Emily Henry is such an amazing writer, not just because she writes these great romance books, but also because the way that she writes characters is very it's incredible. The way that the grace with which she writes characters and relationships is something that's really beautiful, and it's very um realistic to real life. And that's why so many people love and enjoy her books, is because we find a way to connect to them so heavily.
Mm.
Even though we might not be experiencing our own romances, we're able to connect to it. So, with that said, I think that with um, People We Meet on Vacation coming out, I know that there have been other talks of some of her other books coming
Mm-hmm.
out as well
Mm-hmm.
as adaptations. I am a little bit nervous to see not just the ways that they bring about those characters, but also the way that they're perceived.
Mm.
Because I think, in terms of audience perception, um, I think people are very easily just going to watch it as a romance, or as I feel like Emily Henry is definitely going to get like the rom-comification. Like,
Mm.
people are going to be like, oh, that's a rom-com.
Yeah.
When Emily Henry's stories, they're not really rom-coms.
Yeah.
Not in like the heart of the story.
I
So
agree.
that's what I think. And then also, just like, actually, that's a concern for both. That's my concern for both, production wise, like when they're actually making
Mm.
it, as well as audience perception, that her stories are just going to be converted to rom-coms and that's
Mm.
it. And just kind of lessen to that when they have some of the most human, um, and most well-written characters and relationships that I've seen in a
Mm.
very long time of my lengthy 22 years on this earth.
Of
So
course, yes. Interesting. Yeah, what were your thoughts on that trailer? Have you seen the trailer?
I did see the trailer. I
Yes.
did. And I have read People We Meet on Vacation. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited
I'm
for it.
excited, yeah.
I do think like it's I think the trailer does give rom-com, but that's
Okay.
just because it's the trailer.
Yes,
Um, but I'm excited for it, you know?
me too.
I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I think that the casting choices were incredible. I
In
think they were great.
perfection. Oh my God. Yes, I
And
agree.
everything that we've seen so far, nothing gives me pause. For
Yeah.
me, it's when the actual movie comes out, and I think that's when we're gonna come to an understanding of how they're gonna treat her works. So, but it might
Yeah.
also, again, everything is an interpretation,
Yes.
everything can be an adaptation. So
Yeah.
I can say that I'm excited for it. And
Yes.
I think so far, yes, we're getting a little bit of that rom-com treatment, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think that's we see the mistake that happened with It Ends With Us with how it was marketed, that those that did not read the book were like, oh, this is cute, a little rom-com, someone that owns a flower shop. And for me, unfortunately, that's why I got so much backlash, is because it's like, why are you marketing it as a rom-com when clearly it is not? I do
Hmm.
believe if it falls, I mean, I can understand how you're wanting to appeal to the general audience, but something with all the books that Colleen Hoover writes, yes, she writes quote unquote romance books, but even then, her audience is niche in itself. And I think that's also the complications when it comes to appealing to the mass audience. You're going to lose a lot if you do. What are your thoughts on appealing towards fans only? Because that's a conversation, that's a question that I've been having myself. Like, is that a problem appealing to mainly fans?
I think it can be. I definitely think that there is some dissonance when it comes to producing films because you have a main audience that you want to appeal to, but you also need to invite people into it somehow,
Mm,
some way.
mm,
I think part of that is kind of responsible. It's a responsibility of the marketing
mm,
team and the
mm.
way that they kind of handle it. So I think if you have a strong marketing team, I think that you can kind of interpret a piece or when a film is produced, I think it's easier to appeal to fans, but um, sometimes I think it's interesting because it's the grace with which you do it, because there have been examples of films and TV and media and adaptations that have kind of gone away from the original text and it worked. The Some Rights Aren't Pretty, and you have ones that have kind of moved away from the text and it didn't work. Percy Jackson. Um, well, the original
Oh, well,
Percy
yes, yeah,
Jackson.
yeah, the
And something that
movies.
I think is interesting for both of them is I actually I think I was about to tell a lie because the characters in The Some Rights and Pretty were not aged up, but the story itself was more mature than in the
Mm,
books. In the books, they're more like a like middle school reading level, I would say, or early high school reading level. And then it's a stark difference from the show, where the show is definitely like more mature than that. And then you have like Percy Jackson, where they just aged up the characters. So I think
yeah,
it comes with nuance,
I
and
see.
it's such an interesting discussion because it is very specific to each adaptation, but
Mm,
that's why certain books and certain media doesn't need to be adapted because sometimes it's a little bit too nuanced to where it's very, very difficult to, create it exactly the same,
mm,
but then also invite new fans into the universe.
mm.
An example of that would probably be like Fourth Wing is gonna be real interesting how they do
Bitch.
that
Ah.
because they could be like extremely accurate to where they're
Right.
like appealing for the fans, but then they have to find ways to kind of invent new perspectives and stuff like that. The thing for me that I'm like every time that I read those books, I have to remind myself, or like thinking about the adaptation, I have to remind myself that they're wearing goggles,
Oh, well, yeah, the flight goggles. We cannot
the
forget
flight
those.
goggles. So I'm like thinking about it and I'm like,
Oh, I'm scared it's gonna be goofy. I'm scared it's gonna be a little goofy. Now, when it comes to stuff like Fourth Wing, where I believe this is something I saw online, I think it was a comment on TikTok, and I couldn't agree more that it's going to be the new Harry Potter. Like it's going to consume
oh,
people of the way, not Twilight, specifically Harry Potter, because of where you could align yourself in the college, um not only that, like the context of it, like with there being a war, Harry Potter, there was a war. People were trying to correlate it to Twilight, but the thing with Twilight, it's like a very YN moment. From what I'm seeing with Fourth Wing, this the series, they are making it be like you could be with us, similar to Harry Potter.
I see. I think it works because it's in that fantasy realm, and I think
Yeah.
that's kind of why. And I mean, when it comes to marketing, and particularly in film, well, not just particular to film marketing, but
Mm.
in this day and age, personalization is something that's incredibly
Yes.
important. We as consumers want to
Yes.
feel important. And so
Yeah.
marketing strategists will do it in a way that's like they're creating quizzes
Yes.
like the Harry Potter series where you have a house that you're assigned to, you
Mm.
have your own wand. Like it's specific
Yes.
to who you are as a person.
Yes.
People are constantly filling out those like Myers-Briggs personality tests to see what characters they relate to the most and stuff like that. And so we're in a day and age where people just want to feel personally connected to these stories. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that can very well be done within like the BASCAP of Aurora College and like through
Mm-hmm.
fantasy series like Fourth Wing,
Mm-hmm.
because they can make it very, very immersive.
So I would say when it comes to shows like Fourth Ring, what I talked to you about this off camera so many times, but it's when it comes to fantasy, I do believe we should allow grace for aging characters up. Because for topics that are being talked about in the Fourth Wing universe, I I mean, from I would love your perspective as an actress, like how difficult it is with you being like, oh, I'm the same age as this character, I should audition for it, or I may not look like this character, but I'm the same age. Like, where are those complications for you as an actor? Like, if you were given, like, let's say they do an open casting, like for you as an actress, like, what are those difficulties that you feel that you may encounter for situations like this?
In terms of like in terms of age specifically
Yeah.
or just in general?
Let's go with general and we could branch off into each.
Well, I think I think it part of it comes down to safety. Part of it comes down to
Mm.
safety because I think for certain, I don't know why, for some reason, like these like lead female characters are always like 19. I don't know how they always do that, but that is,
All
yeah, it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher.
right,
So,
right.
I think part of it comes down to safety because they're always these incredibly mature projects. Um, and I think that there are some actors that look very young and that would be able to portray those characters, and they have a wide range of doing it. So, I think it comes down to like believability of certain people, but I think it comes down to the safety of the actors while also maintaining the integrity of the character and the story itself.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe we shouldn't have a 30-year-old woman playing Feyre, but you know what? If she looks the part, who am I to complain? If
That's
she
what
looks
I'm
19, who am I to
saying.
complain? But
Right.
I think that it comes down to the safety of the actors to be able to, do that because we don't necessarily like, yeah, it's
He said silence.
what's happening.
It's okay. They're trying to silence you. The FBI is hearing you, and they're like, mm-mm.
They're like, no, she's dropping too many hits. She's dropping too many hits. Okay. But to continue, and I think in general, I think it just comes down to even if you might not fit the description, or if you might not feel like you would be best for the role in your own vision, sometimes casting directors are more sympathetic to that. Sometimes they just kind of see things a little bit differently, you know? And there are certain characters that, like, even though I probably don't look the part, if there was ever a time or place where I could audition for that, hey, I'm going to do it anyways, just because, you know, some directors might have a different, or some casting directors might see some things a little bit different, but might actually really enjoy the way that I do a certain performance or the way that someone does a performance. And they may capture an essence of something. So it's just kind of it all seems very wishy-washy, but I think it comes down to the safety of the actors, and also my advice for any actor, honestly, is that if there's a role that even you think that you might not be capable of, just do it anyways. Because what do you have to lose? If you don't get it, you move on. If it's a no, you continue moving on. But if you stop yourself from that chance, and if you don't you cut yourself off from that opportunity, then that's on you. That's not on anybody else. There's only certain things that you as an actor are able to control, and one of those things is going after every single opportunity that comes to you. So it's interesting because I think that we as actors kind of talk a lot about the no's that we receive, but I think it's more important that we talk about the no's that we give out, and the no's that we say, and the things that we, as not just as actors but as creatives, going into the production industry, going into the film industry, any creative going in that realm, we talk about being rejected, and we talk about saying no, or we talk about being told no. But sometimes we cut ourselves off from opportunity because it's too scary, because we might not think that we might be best for it, because maybe it will be a little bit harder. But those are the things that we need to go after to be able to become better creatives.
That honestly kind of answered my last question. You just by starting off, there's some advice, but I guess this is mainly geared towards you and your future self. Like if there was one thing you could tell yourself in the future, it could be a year from now, a month from now, tomorrow, or even 5 years from now. Like with where you are currently navigating the film industry, the entertainment industry as a whole, like what would you tell yourself?
I think I would tell myself to never discount, or to take up as many small projects as big projects. I think that we as creatives, especially starting out in this vast, vast industry, um, we constantly talk about wanting to work on bigger productions and wanting to build ourselves up. And it's a beautiful thing. But working on indie sets and working with people that you know, and sometimes just working with friends, can sometimes be some of the most rewarding and beautiful projects that you get to experience without throughout your entire career. And so I think that you can't discount when, you know, you have a certain film that maybe isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it's something that you as a creative can connect to, and it's something that you are going to benefit from in your journey, then you should take those up just as much. I remember hearing certain, bigger names talking about how the best sets and best experiences that they were on were always the sets that felt like indie films, or that were indie films, where they felt like they were very free to explore without having this pressure of, this film needs to make a certain amount of money to be able to account for the money that we already spent. And so it kind of removes you from like um, the big profitable world of it all, and the money that kind of goes and is circulating throughout this industry. And it just gets you back to the root of your creative self. And that's not to say that these big, productions don't have that creative energy. But I think that us now in this current moment um, need to be able to appreciate and love the small projects that we do with our friends, the small passion projects that we're working on, because those are the things that help us get to those places, but also they're the things that we're going to miss when we get to those bigger places. So I think even in the future, I would love to be working on indie sets, and I would love to be a part of, you know, working with so many different creatives in so many different environments.
That's really, really well said. Because I like to take that moment. I believe in manifestation. Not a hot take in my household. I really do. And I think when it comes to really speaking into the universe or to whoever you believe, I think it's really important. So that's why I love ending that conversation. Even when it comes to friends in general, like really reflecting, like, where do you see yourself in the future? And you
Mhm.
determine that timeline for yourself. So overall, I've really, really enjoyed speaking with you. This conversation is sadly coming to an end, but I would love to have you again in the future on this podcast to really reflect a year from now how much you've learned, how much within the past week, how much the industry has changed. Honestly, I think for the bad, the Netflix buying Warner Bros. And HBO. So the entertainment industry is always ever changing, and people like us hopefully will slowly gear it into a positive light. But yes, with that being said, it was an extreme pleasure speaking with you, Sarah. And before we head out, is there anything you want to promote? This is your moment to shine.
Well, it was lovely. Thank you for having me. I am currently working on a feature film. It's very exciting. I'm working with so many incredible creatives. So you can follow the Able Bodies Instagram at Able Bodies Film, no spaces. And you can follow along on our journey as we continue to pursue working with this really, really great story.
Awesome. So yes, one more time, Able Bodies Film on Instagram. Are you on any other platforms or starting for now? It's
We're
Instagram.
starting on Instagram.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Okay,
Stay
fantastic.
tuned.
Fantastic. So yes, go ahead and check that out, guys. Please support local filmmakers, indie filmmakers. They all start with the seed and then they sprout into trees years down the line. But yes, that's all. There is no separate podcast Instagram at all. It's just my main Instagram. But you can listen to this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. For now, I'm going to be starting on Apple Music and Spotify, but we'll see. We'll see where else she grows. But with that being said, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit subscribe and review. 5 stars. Yes, 5 stars, guys. Please, 5 stars. But yes, that's the end of this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.